So I'm talking to Cat, and she's telling me his story. And we were thinking, maybe we should have this live. Maybe we should record this, and because this is so much fun, and people really need to hear this. Everybody has that story. So
for sure.
Tell me more.
So so just take a little step back. So 8 years ago, I left the corporate world. I was pretty much dying on the inside. You know, that kind of like, yes, everything's fine in the world on the outside, and that kind of that miserable, lost, disconnected, anxiety ridden, low mood, using wine as a crutch kind of existence that most have experienced. And I'd trained in this therapy called Bowen therapy, which is a hands-on body treatment. So that was in 2016, and I left, and within 3 months I managed to build myself up a business. And that's kind of where my personal development journey started, because when you're in the corporate world, I have never heard anybody talk about personal development before.
Isn't it sad?
Yes.
Yeah. Really? And there's so many people in little pockets that think the same, and we still don't speak about it, right? Until leadership finally speaks about it, and then they're like, oh yeah, we want more of this. Anyway, that was just a side note. I get really passionate about that.
No, absolutely, because we kind of get stuck in there. This is how I am.
Yeah.
This is how I am.
This is how it is.
This is how it is. This is how I'll always be.
Oh yeah.
Who knew you could change all those? You could change facets of your personality.
Right.
Absolutely. But they're actually just coping mechanisms. They're protections.
Yeah.
So I stepped into the world of personal development. I was just a bit like, holy shit. Sorry if you don't like swearing. And that was all going really well until 2020 hit. All of the stuff that came along with that, but we don't need to get into that bit. And my business was shut down overnight because I couldn't see anybody, wasn't allowed to touch anybody. And I wasn't buying into the whole, well, let's kind of wrap up in cling film and still see our clients. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. It's just nonsense. So I happened to have a network marketing business as well, because 3 years earlier, so 2017, somebody very close to me had cancer, and I started to look at kind of natural things for him. And he was on his own journey, and I quickly learned that you can't, well, I learned after the fact that you have to let people be on their own journey. So so I had this supplement business, which massively helped me. I had Hashimoto's at one point, so it helped me to heal from that. So I kind of turned my attention there, and then I really threw myself into personal development. But actually a lot of it was work hard, do more, push more, force yourself through it. You can do it, blah, blah, blah. And I had this little voice in my head that was going, oh, it's got to be an easier way than this, because I'm not built for this kind of pressure, overwhelm, frustration. It was killing me, and I felt really not good enough, a failure, useless, not as good as you, I can't do it. And then I came across Peter Sage, who is English. He's big in the personal development world, and I did his program called the Elite Mentorship Forum, and I had some massive breakthroughs and shifted a lot of stuff, and I thought I was in a pretty good place. And I just went, right, okay, how can I put myself out of my comfort zone now? So I put myself into high ticket sales for a year. And towards the end of that, I came across the Akashic Records, and I wasn't really looking for it at all. And the first time I saw it, I just kind of glossed over it. And then I think what happened, because I can't entirely remember, was that I woke up one morning and I went, I've got to go and talk to Helen about that Akashic Records stuff. And then that was last June. And then before you know it, I'm in this program, and like my life has changed, transformed dramatically.
So what is it that it does, I guess, for some people? Because I have some understanding of it, and some people kind of call it, it's a little like hocus pocus in a way, because a lot of stuff we can't see, right? Because we go into meditation and we use energy, and like what what happens? If you can explain that a little
Sure.
bit.
Sure. And it is absolutely. I mean, you can't see it, you can't touch it, and you can't rationalize it, and your brain, you're I mean, although there is, there's a lot of scientific evidence for the quantum field, quantum physics, and the fact that the stuff that they teach us in school is built on a very bogus first principle, because they, kind of like this they can't explain that initial explosion, the Big Bang, the thing that turned the computer on. So there's definitely a lot of scientific evidence out there, but there's a certain amount of faith that you have to have, but I also think it's something that you're called to do. So the Akashic records are a cosmic library. They're like an energetic library that exist in the 7th dimension. Now, I have to premise this by saying I'm delivering these as facts. This is my understanding. I have no evidence to prove to you that this is a fact, but this is...
But just so people get a little bit of insight, yeah.
Because I kind of I hear myself talking like an expert sometimes, and yes, I guess I am in comparison to some other people, but by no means am I an expert, because I'm finding my way through this as I'm going. So there's, in simple terms, every soul has a record in the Akashic records. Every country, every place, every living thing has one, really. And it's kind of like an imprint of all thoughts, emotions, experiences, all of this stuff. And
throughout lifetimes.
Yeah, throughout lifetimes.
So like our soul's journey.
Soul's journey, yeah, absolutely. Since soul's inception, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So soul journey, exactly that. And during those lifetimes, we've made good choices and we've made not so good choices. So the good choices are our positive karma, if you like, that are in alignment with our soul blueprint. And the bad choices are kind of like our negative karma, the lessons that we maybe need to learn. And we've been learning over lifetimes for the last 10,000 years. So they were last available 10,000 years ago to access the Akashic records, and are said to have been taken away from us because we abused the power of them. Because at one point, we were light beings that could manifest everything, and we could, none of this struggle ever existed. So so this negative karma can come in the form of agreements we've made with souls in past lifetimes. It can be contracts that we've made. It can be negative intentions that we send towards other people. There can be psychic hooks. There's vows that we've taken of poverty and silence, and all that stuff attached to the church. And I like to think of it then as almost like an umbilical cord from the subconscious to that realm, where not only do we have our subconscious programs and patterns that are running, the scarcity and the fear and that I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy, we also have all of this from all of our lifetimes as well that we tap into. Not only our lifetimes, but we also inherit everything from our ancestral lines. So from our mother's lineage, from our father's lineage. So that's a whole heap of crap that we're carrying around, and we can clear it.
Yeah, and I love that. When I first learned about how much we come down to earth with, I mean, we're getting really spiritual here. I believe that we choose this lifetime, we choose our parents.
Yes,
we are highly affected by what have happened to us in the past. Yes, we don't have any recollection of it unless we really delve deep into maybe past life regressions or meditations. There's a lot of ways that we can connect with previous lives. And I find it fascinating because my whole life, and I'm sorry, I'm shifting gears on you here, but I really want to add that very young, I remember having very strong feelings about life, and strong questions about life that didn't quite fit into my life, if you understand what I'm saying, right? And I know a lot of people recognize this. A lot of people don't quite fit into the normal, more shallow living of the life that we live in, because it just goes so much beyond that, the bigger questions, and why can't we connect deeper, and why can't we have more peace in our lives? And I had these very heavy feelings with me that I didn't understand until I was probably in my 20s. Because they didn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, my life has not been like that bad. Of course, I've had stuff happen in my life, but they were like, they were so heavy that sometimes I felt like my soul is just crushed in a way. And it was not until I really understood past lives and understood the heaviness of this door that was open just a little bit, that I had enough memory from my last life that was not very pleasant, to say the least. And I had carried that into this lifetime. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why has nobody told me this?
Well, because, you know, what you were just saying about fitting into life as it is now, we're all conditioned to fit into that. I think there's a lot more people out there that, if they're honest with themselves, have got this undercurrent feeling that this is good stuff, Trina. It really is. That have got this undercurrent of these feelings that are just like, I mean, I remember back to being probably pre 5 years old, and having this kind of like being able to go into these places where I wasn't really here. And I guess it was meditation back then, and also being told I was overly emotional and I had to squash all of that down, too sensitive, squash that. So we get desensitized at a really young age.
Yeah, absolutely. I experienced the same, and I know a lot of people, very spiritual people too, that have this higher awareness and higher consciousness very early on. And I also abandoned it during my teen years because it became too much, and a lot of people just didn't understand what I was talking about, and I wanted to just fit in. But it was really, you know, in my 20s and my 30s that I started to understand the purpose more, you know, reading, you know, Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and Eckhart Tolle, and like finally there were books that talked about this stuff that I have felt in my head. I'm like, this makes sense. Like psychology and theories and, you know, actually the human existence, what we were trained in school, go home. Like that is not enough answers for me. Like this makes sense.
And it's coming out of you, isn't it?
Yes. And then this fast track. So I'm a trained therapist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a relationship coach. I love the mindfulness. I'm theta healer. I love the holistic aspect. I love understanding the connection between people. I love relationships, just with anything. I love to understand how we can learn from relationships, because it's not just the longing for deep relationships. It's also, what does it reflect within me, right? How can I expand based on the relationships that we have?
And you can't have those good relationships with other people unless you've got one with yourself first.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest aha, right? The journey to self-love was really where I started my journey within, to understand, well, I have the power to change my relationships and create more in my relationships. But again, it all starts from within. And when I discovered, I love therapy, I love coaching, but I love even more the detours that this what you do, and theta healing, and anything that goes through seventh plane of existence through pure unconditional love is the like a habit.
Just lost you for a second.
Did I breathe?
Sorry, I just lost you for a second. I don't know if that's my end or your end. Stop that.
Yeah.
That you were going about love. You're just about
Yeah.
to say
So
love.
going through unconditional love is the fastest, direct,
Yes.
shortcut way to go in. And
Yes.
a habit takes a long time to break, right?
Yeah.
When we mentally want to reprogram something, which I've done over and over again, it just takes a long time. And then we regress, and then we kind of get out of it, and then we come back into it again. How many people have had a meditation routine or exercise routine, right? And we abandon it and then come back again. With this, it's like, it literally goes in and like takes like the bad seeds out of a programming.
Yes.
Like it's like fixing our DNA, right? Is that
absolutely.
You follow me here, right?
Absolutely. And that's
and
part
you go
of it.
in and you like little just you just pick the bad seed out and then you reprogram it. And all this happens
Under the covers.
intuitively, under the covers, like in ourselves. And you wake up the next day and it's like it's just gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's gone.
Yes.
And it's mind-blowing, and we can't wrap our minds around it.
I know. And people think it's too good to be true, or it's too easy, or we shouldn't do that because it's too easy and life needs to be hard and it should be harder. We need to struggle and go through it. It's like, not anymore. No. Yes. We've had decades, thousands of years like that. Now we have access to, I don't like to use the word tools because that denotes use, but I can't think of another word to come up with to use yet. But there are these tools that have been gifted to us. The universe is gifting these tools to us and allowing us to actually accelerate our growth and not have to be stuck in this cycle of trying to learn the lesson. Just get rid of it and start fresh.
It's almost like we're skipping a lifetime. Like we can complete a full lifetime. Probably 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. But the lessons that you're talking about that usually takes us a full lifetime. We can now shorten that and then extend endless possibilities.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's almost like Control Alt Delete. Let's start again, and it's not like you don't. And I think certainly in my experience of what I've done, you do get the lessons because you kind of get the awareness. You go, oh, that's what that was trying to tell me. Oh, well, thank you very much. I understand that now, and I'm going to move on.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then you can move on.
Yes.
I don't even have.
And then what's next?
Yes.
And then what's next?
And then what's next?
What can I do now from this different place, from this? I don't want to call it a higher state. It's not necessarily. It's not better or worse than where you were. It's different, and the experiences that have been coming out of this for me are just bonkers. I mean, I would never have dreamed of some of the things that have been happening that would ever have happened before. And going back to relationships, I didn't have a good relationship with myself. I couldn't be authentic. You did better than me. I actually spent my 20s and 30s under a fog of alcohol, trying to actually cope. And now I look at it, when I was doing it, I thought I was having a good time. But no, I wasn't. It was very much a coping mechanism, because I didn't know how to relate to people. And once I'd cleared my records, one of the funniest things that happened to me was I was like, gosh, I actually want to have conversations with people now. I want to talk to people. I quite like to be a little bit more social. I mean, I like my alone time. I'm still good with that, but I found that actually I was wanting to relate more, and I actually knew how to relate from a place of authenticity, for to use an overused word. But really, I can be myself, and here I am, and it's okay if you don't like me. It's okay to connect with what I say. I'm still going to be me, and I'm okay with you not being okay with it. It's like great. But that was a big piece for me. Big piece.
I love that, and that's the you inside you that I'm referring to in my groups. I have a podcast called You Inside You. It just that has been my whole purpose since I was born, to really understand, how to get to that point. And there's a lot of ways to get to it. People dive into music or art, or, or even selling really good. I mean, everybody has their skills and their gifts and their creativity, and we can really get into that authentic voice of ourselves. But for me, it's very important to understand the dynamics of what that even means. I like to have things in boxes and separate things and understand. I mean, the first time I learned that I had an ego, and not just like the ego that Freud talked about in, in psychology, and it kind of describes it a bit, but not really. For me to understand that this false part of ourselves is like feeding, and false part of ourselves may not be a good word either, but it's our human part of ourselves, right? That just feeds us stuff that's not real, that's not about who we really are.
Well, it's all about keeping us safe, isn't it, as well? So
and keeping us safe. Ego doesn't want us to change, right? Because oh my gosh, what might happen if we step into this opportunity, and because it's the death of our old self, right? So yes, it's great that it keeps us safe, but at the end of the day, if we don't learn to manage it and learn to silence it and soothe it, we're not going to expand the way we want and get into that freedom that you're talking about. Is almost this invisible glass ceiling that I see a lot of people come in with. It's almost they see what's above it, but they can't get through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
it's invisible, and they keep bonking their heads, and they're like, well, why can I not get to that stuff up there?
Yeah, I can see it. And going back to the ego and the soul, I've been reading this series of books called Allow Your Soul to Lead. And it's by a lady called Cindy Edison, who channels a collective that she calls called Joseph.
Kind of like Abraham.
Yes.
Got it.
So there's I think there are more and more people that are channeling. And these entire series of books are literally that the ego provides contrast. So the ego is kind of like choosing fear, and your light body, your soul body, is about choosing love. And you can't choose love unless you have the contrast.
Oh my God.
Everything's just about choosing love.
Oh, yes. I love it. I've never heard that before. That is so good.
No, I hadn't
ego
either.
Provides contrast. And Esther Hicks, I mean, and Abraham all talks about contrast, but I love that part, because we cannot, how would we know? We all know that love is hard to experience, or freedom, without having felt stuck or trapped. Like these dualities that we experience in this world. But we need ego to provide contrast.
Yeah. Because unless you're afraid, you can't decide not to choose that and choose love instead. That's one of the things that Peter Sage has a saying. It's like, you choose love over fear in ever more challenging circumstances. And the more you choose love, perhaps the circumstances become more challenging as you go, because it's kind of like, and now I see it as like, oh, okay, what's this about?
What's next?
This is now I'm excited for the journey, whereas before it would have been, oh God, no, now there's something else I have to battle with and deal with, and how am I going to get past this? Now it comes with excitement of like, oh, it's a little gift, it's all wrapped up in this stuff, and I just have to be okay with it. Just keep choosing love, and then the gift will be revealed.
Oh, this is so good. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to put this out to everyone. This is, wow, you are a gift, Cat. Our little conversations. See, it's all,
I knew
all
this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. And isn't that one of the other things? Like you said, we choose our parents to have the experience, because if you look at it from a soul's perspective, the universe is the biggest, the earth is the biggest theme park there is. It's like, how can we go out in and have the most amazing ride? One of the things that I choose to believe in is that souls contract with each other before they make an agreement with each other. Right, I'm going to meet you at this time, Okay, so if you're down a hole, I'm going to come get you.
Yeah.
And
I totally believe that. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have a funny story about this morning. I shared it with, do you know Julie Trainer from the group?
Yes, I spoke to her last week.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, she's such a beautiful,
yes.
Also a soul meant to, meet.
Yes, definitely.
So I was going for a walk this morning. I was listening to Bob Proctor's ABC of Success. And I love his book. I love his voice. I love a good audiobook where they narrate it and I can connect with them on like a spiritual level. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, I love that. It's like being in their class, right? Yes.
I like to read. I like a physical reading. I'm not good with audio books.
Oh, yes. But good for you.
I drift off and go, where are you? Yes. I missed a bit. I'm going to second rewind.
Yeah. So I was going for a walk and I was reading a book or listening to the book. And Julie popped into my head and I was like, oh, really, we need to reach out to her. And this TEDx talk that she is preparing for. And I'm like really inspired by it. And I always kind of knew that that's probably the direction that I'm going in at some point. I'm just not admitting it quite yet. So I was trying to speak it out loud to myself. And like, Trina, it keeps popping up in your head. It probably is a thing. I'm like, okay, it's a thing. I should reach out to Julie and ask more about the whole process of it. So I keep walking and I kind of just park it. And then 10 minutes later in the book, he talks about how to prepare for a powerful speech. Out of the 6-8 hours of this book that happened to be on this walk, after thinking about Julie and her TEDx talk, he literally dissected how to perform and present a good speech. Okay, I get the message. So I love these little synchronicities.
Yes,
so I reached out to Julie. I started the ball rolling. Tell me all the details, Julie. Okay. And I look forward to hearing back from her about it. And I'm like, I guess it's in your space, right? It's the right people, the opportunities. It keeps airing or nudging you in the moment. And I love that. And as you say, it's not about, oh my gosh, I can't do that. It's more of the, okay, here's the next one, right?
Here's the next piece. Absolutely.
Right into it.
And I've been saying for a while now, I've been kind of wrapped up in Akashic Records for about 18 months now, and I'm just like, I'm sure there's another piece after this. I don't know what it is, but it'll arrive when it needs to. So I connected with somebody in the community we connected with, and she lives. Did I tell you this already? No. I was telling some. I did it on my live earlier.
Oh, the one in Houston.
Yeah, in Texas. So and then we ended up just down the road in Glastonbury from me, and we'd connected on Facebook. She'd sent me a Facebook friend request. I'd said yes. We'd exchanged a message, and then that was it. And then the next thing I see her posting that she's coming to Europe on a trip, and she's coming into London, which is the opposite. London's on the southeast, and I'm in the southwest, opposite side of the country. And then she's coming to Glastonbury, which is kind of like the spiritual mecca of the UK, which is 20 minutes down the road from me. I'm like, oh wow, well, we need to meet. So and the fact that I actually wanted to do that, given my old kind of like, I wouldn't want to connect with anybody was, but also we'd kind of made this kind of really fluid, well, we might meet if we can. And then in my meditation on Monday morning, I was like, oh, you absolutely have to go and meet. And we met up and we were exchanging stories like this. And she channels light language, which I knew nothing about. I have a horse, and she loves horses, and she was like, oh, let's go to your horse. Let's go to I have light language for you and for your horse. Like, okay, let's get in the car. We'll drive here. We did this whole kind of half an hour in the field where she just channeled light language for me and my horse. And I was just like, well, I'm not really sure what happened. My brain cannot understand this, but I feel that my energy body's processing it on some level. I mean, I was exhausted when she left. I was really ill that night. I obviously had some stuff to get rid of. And then the next morning I woke up and I went into my meditation, and I was given this beautiful silver cloak with red and green symbols on it. which is really interesting because when I came up with the branding for my business, the colors I were given were silver, red, and green.
Oh no! Wow. I'm like
My
falling.
city like this week.
Those
Like, how did that happen?
I love this, and I love these synchronicities, and I get inspired as you talk about it, of really just jumping on those, like those gut feelings. I try to reach out to the people that I feel connected to and attracted to energetically, because there's something there. And you know, I reached out to you, like, Cat,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's something here. Let's do it.
Well, this is perfect and beautiful, and I would love the recording so I too can share it. It would be amazing.
Absolutely, definitely. Anyway,
been an unexpected, another unexpected. In the, these are just kind of like happening all the time now. It's like, okay, come on, what's next?
Yeah, super delightful, and I can't wait to follow you and connect with you, and
definitely,
you know, figure out how
what happens next,
support and be with one. Absolutely. Each other's energy. So I love that.
And allow it to unfold, as opposed to the kind of the old way, which would be to force it and kind of, you know, what should we do and how can we, it's just to, and that I think is something that's coming in. I think it's a new way of not being in business, I think. In this kind of things are unfolding, and that whole the old paradigm of marketing where everything's like is I feel I'm following my soul path on that, and you know, and not being so pulled into the
I love that,
which
really
is
trusting the process that things kind of show up, and they really do. They really do. And when you have the nudge, you act on it, and it opens up your doors.
It does, and it's living in that space of uncertainty, which is a little uncomfortable, to say the least, sometimes.
It really is. It really is.
I chat it every day. It's my don't get so much. It's going to be fine. The universe absolutely has your back. It's conspiring to have you in, and it will all unfold as it's meant to, as long as you don't resist the stuff that you don't like so much.
Yes, choose love. Well, thank you, Cat.
Thank you.
It's so great to
really
meet you and see you, and we'll stay in touch.
Let's definitely stay in touch for sure. You know, I've been thinking about having a kind of creating some kind of little networking group of people that I meet like this, so that we can get together like once a month or something and share. Because I think that would be really, really amazing. So that's kind of something that's floating away, but hasn't come to the surface yet, and it will come when it needs to come.
I love that.
Perfect.
All right, you have a wonderful day.
You too. It's been so lovely to talk to you, and I'm so pleased that it is fine after Hurricane Milton.
Yes.
Hopefully we have a quiet time now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you take care. Bye. Bye.